A few months ago, while I was listening to Deepak Chopra's audiobook, Metahuman, he started talking about a concept, and I couldn't help but shake my head pretty emphatically as I was waiting on the tube platform going to our clinic in Angel. In this video, I want to share why I disagreed with this concept that he shared about pain so much and what I think we need to start seeing pain as instead. So if you'd like to see a different perspective to pain and how pain can actually help us be closer to our bodies and have a better quality of life, this video is for you. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Catherine. I'm the founder and principal therapist of LSM Clinic. And in this channel, I share self-care tips and information about how the body works so we can live and enjoy our favorite activities as close to pain-free as possible. Now, Deepak Chopra is someone who I really respect, and I love a lot of his ideas on mindfulness, and I really found his book Metahuman very interesting, especially when he's talking about like a different way to look at reality. But I really had to strongly disagree when he starts talking about pain as something in our mind and that we just have to master it. It's just something for us to overcome. Now, this isn't a new concept, right? But I was a little bit surprised to hear it in this book because pain is such an essential part of our human experience. And it's one of the biggest connections that we have with our body, especially because of how we live as a society. So you've probably heard the phrase, pain is weakness leaving the body, or pain is all in your mind, or other phrases like this that basically set pain up as the enemy. Like it's us versus pain and we need to overcome it and we need to push through it. But this idea can be really damaging because pain is a signal from our body. It creates like an adversarial relationship. So it's us versus pain and we are winning or the pain is winning. And unfortunately, this bleeds into almost every aspect of our life. Think about the way that we reward ourselves in society. You are admired if you're super busy, if you're working crazy hours, if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, if you're pushing through really hard exercise and trainings. We are so conditioned to ignore our bodies. We often don't even realize something is building up until it's really serious. And part of that is because we are conditioned to ignore our pain, to treat our pain like it is something to be overcome. But instead of thinking of pain as something to conquer, what if we started to think of pain as a messenger, as the way that our body communicates to us? Now, after more than a decade of working with people, I can say with very close to 100% certainty that pain is not our enemy. The only way that our body can communicate to us is through sensations, right? It doesn't have words. It can't start talking to us. So our body communicates to us through how it feels. And most of us are familiar with things like hunger is a sign that we need to eat. Tiredness is a sign that we need to sleep. These are sensations we're used to listening to. But for some reason, everything that falls under pain, which when I'm talking about pain, I might mean discomfort, a niggle, an ache, a tiredness, right? It's all kind of within that umbrella. We don't treat it as a sign to do something like we treat hunger or thirst. We often treat it as something to ignore or even something to celebrate if we can endure pain and then push through it. Some of the cues that your body sends you that there's something wrong before you get to the point where things are really painful can be feeling a feeling of unease, maybe not feeling comfortable with doing certain movements. You might notice that you start to feel a little bit heavier. You might start to notice that things aren't as smooth or crunchy. Or on the opposite side, you can notice that things feel lighter or easier when you do things a certain way or when you move a certain way. Unfortunately, because we're so conditioned to ignore our body, these more subtle clues are often ignored. And so then our body has to escalate, right? So a heaviness or a slight discomfort will graduate into a niggle or a tiredness. That might graduate into an ache or a pain. And then sometimes it has to become like a strong spasm or a sharp stabbing pain before we do anything about it. And this process of going from a smaller sensation to a stronger one, it's just our body escalating. It's going, okay, do you hear me now? How about now? Is this loud enough for you? It's just trying to make the message clearer that there's something that we need to address. But every time that we ignore those messages, we're basically telling our body, we're not going to deal with it. It just needs to get on with it itself. And you know what? Our body tries. Like, our bodies are incredibly resilient. The number of times people come into the clinic and I ask them to do a simple movement, like raise their arm over the head, or turn their head side to side, and they're surprised that they can't. And that's because when we ignore the message from our body goes, okay, well, if it hurts to turn my head, then I'll turn my torso. Or if it hurts to raise my arm up, I'll bend forward and shimmy around to be able to put the coat on or the shirt on so I don't have to raise my arm up anymore. But what that means is, because our body is just trying to get on with it, we often don't notice that we're getting stiffer and tighter and losing our range of movement. And that's why we get these things where we sleep funny one night and we wake up and we can't turn our head, or we bend over to pick up a pencil and our back goes out. Most of the time, obviously not all of the time, but a lot of the time when people come into me with these, I just woke up and couldn't turn my head moments, we can feel that there's a buildup of tension over time, that this has been building for a long time. And even then, when we talk to people, they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, I did have a pain or a niggle, but it always went away. So I thought that it was fine. But that pain or niggle going away, that's your body trying to tell you. And then when you ignore it, going, okay, we'll just try to deal with it ourselves until it can't anymore. So instead of thinking of pain as our enemy, and we can see that pain is a messenger for our body, I like to think of pain and all of the sensations that come under that umbrella as a bridge that connects our kind of consciousness, our brain, to our body. Instead of thinking of it as I'm in pain or I'm not in pain, like a binary, I think of it as a spectrum. So on one side, we have moving really free and light and smooth and easy. And then it gradually goes stiffer and tighter and heavier and crunchier until it's really painful, right? So if we think of it on this spectrum, then every single signal that we get from our body on the way is our body telling us that we're going towards this side of the spectrum and asking us to help it get back to this side of the spectrum. Remember, our body doesn't want to be in pain. It's not its preferred state of existence, right? It wants to feel light and free and smooth and easy. It's not me versus my body, which is what it can feel like sometimes when we're dealing with pain. Instead of thinking of it as me versus my body, think of it as me and my body versus the issue. Whether the issue is your posture at work, creating neck and shoulder pain problems, whether it's your running mechanics, creating knee pain or tight hamstrings, or even fighting a chronic illness or a disease. What if we developed a relationship with our body so that we notice those niggles and we do something about it before it becomes a serious problem, before it derails our day? Now, the question is, are you going to choose to listen to your body and team up with it to help improve the way that you move and the way that you feel? Or are you going to go down the road of trying to master your pain and master your body? Now, I can tell you, I've done both. When I first started my business, I definitely pushed. I pushed through tiredness. I pushed through fleeting niggles, aches, and pains. I had the neck pain come and go. And then when it went, I forgot about it until I couldn't anymore. I believed that I had to push to get everything done. You know, I started my business when I was having 2 children at the same time. There weren't enough hours in the day to do everything. So I just pushed myself, and my body was amazing. It supported me through it and it let me do things. And to be honest, I pushed through quite a lot. I even had a month where my ankles swelled up and I couldn't walk. Like it took me 5 minutes to walk 100 yards because they were so swollen and painful. And it was almost like my body was saying, hey, if we make it so that you can't walk, will you rest now? And I did a little bit, but definitely not as much as I should have. You know, I've gone through that where I ignore the aches and pains. I ignore the feelings of tiredness. I ignored the stiffness, and I ended up burnt out multiple times and really struggling with anxiety. I'd like to say that I've learned my lesson. I listen to my body a lot more. If I feel tired, I rest. If I feel like I'm a bit stiff, I stop and I do some stretches. I try to connect with my body every night and just kind of see where it feels stiff or congested. I try to practice yoga on a regular basis and do exercise that helps make my body stronger. I get regular massages when things are open because one, it's like a reward for my body to say, you know, thanks for doing such a great job. And it also helps get rid of a lot of tension much more quickly than my stretching and yoga does. So the next time that you feel a niggle or an ache or a pain, remember that you have a choice. You can push through it and you can ignore it, and it will probably go away initially, and your body will find a way to work around it. Or you can listen to it and you can address what's going on with some simple stretching or just resting or doing like corpse pose in yoga. So let me know in the comments. Is this something that you feel like you do or you have done in the past, kind of pushing away the signals of pain from your body? Or is it something that you used to do and now you're better? Or is this something that now that you've watched the video, you're going to make a conscious effort to reconnect to your body? And, you know, connecting to your body is a skill. It's like everything else. If you haven't been doing it for a while, it can take a little while to get back into it. But even just checking with yourself regularly to just see how you feel, it's going to start to build that skill up again. And actually, I'll probably do a video about that as well. If you'd like more help about connecting to your body, I do have a Reconnecting to Your Body playlist. I will link in the description for this. And if you have any questions at all about this, please feel free to let me know. You know, my mission is to help get rid of as much unnecessary pain in the world as possible. And in my opinion, if you can get rid of a pain, it's unnecessary. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it with anybody you know. Share it with anybody you know who might also enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos about how to take care of yourself and reconnect to your body.